Tom Brenner, The New York Times, Washington. President Trump has had nothing but sharp words for some of the most notable accomplishments of his Democratic predecessors Barack Obama and Bill Clinton. But, as the New York Times' Peter Baker notes, Mr. Trump's tough statements have so far not been matched by his actions. Instead, he has partially dismantled some programs and then left it to Congress to figure out the next steps. Here's a look at 4 of the most significant areas where Mr. Trump has acted to undo his predecessor's accomplishments, and where those actions now stand. The Affordable Care Act. Doug Mills, The New York Times. Mr. Obama's signature domestic achievement, the Affordable Care Act, became law in 2010, and in the following years, calls for its repeal became a centerpiece of Republican political efforts and a core element of Mr. Trump's 2016 campaign. What Mr. Trump has done. The Trump administration has made a variety of moves, including 2 major actions on Thursday, that could fundamentally undermine the viability of the federal health care marketplaces, a central part of the law. The most recent actions, allowing insurance companies to sell less expensive plans with fewer benefits and ending subsidies to insurance companies that help low-income consumers pay out-of-pocket costs, are the latest in a series of initiatives that strike at the heart of the insurance marketplaces set up under the law. Earlier moves included cuts to advertising and services that help consumers sign up for plans on the marketplaces, as well as an effort to weaken enforcement of the individual mandate. Where things stand now. Congress tried on multiple occasions this year to pass a replacement for the Affordable Care Act, but was never able to muster the votes needed in the Senate, even after the House passed a plan on its second attempt in May. Efforts to pass a repeal in Congress appeared to die at the end of September with the expiration of a procedural deadline that would have allowed changes to pass with only 50 votes. Brian Powers for The New York Times. For now, the law's provisions remain in effect, but many people will be closely watching whether the Trump administration's executive actions drive insurance companies to withdraw from the federal healthcare exchanges, or, if they stay, whether premiums will rise uncontrollably. The Iran nuclear deal. Islamic Republic of Iran. Via Associated Press. The United States and 5 other world powers reached a deal with Iran in July 2015 to limit that country's nuclear program in exchange for lifting crippling international sanctions. The Obama administration argued that while the deal did not include all of the provisions it wanted, it was the best bet toward curbing Iran's nuclear capabilities. What Mr. Trump has done on the campaign trail. Mr. Trump regularly denounced the deal, saying that it did not last long enough and that it did not cover ballistic missile launches or Iranian involvement in regional terrorist activity. After reluctantly recertifying the deal in July, Mr. Trump said Friday that he would not certify Iran's compliance again. Where things stand now. While Friday's move did not scuttle the deal, it leaves its fate in the hands of Congress. Mr. Trump said he would ask Congress to establish trigger points that would prompt the reimposition of sanctions if Iran crossed certain thresholds. Mr. Trump also threatened that, in the event we are not able to reach a solution working with Congress and our allies, then the agreement will be terminated. NAFTA. Josh Hainer, The New York Times. After years of negotiations, the United States, Mexico and Canada agreed to the North American Free Trade Agreement, which went into effect at the beginning of 1994. The deal, struck during the Clinton administration, eliminated tariffs on most goods traded between the 3 countries. In the nearly 2.5 decades since, trade among the 3 countries has more than tripled, and companies have built complex supply chains that crisscross the continent's borders. What Mr. Trump has done. Mr. Trump, a longtime critic of free trade deals, regularly attacked NAFTA during the campaign, calling it one of the worst deals in history. In the early months of his presidency, he repeatedly threatened to unilaterally withdraw the United States from the trade pact, but ultimately agreed to open negotiations with Canada and Mexico on an amended agreement. Where things stand now. Negotiators have conducted several rounds of talks, but on Wednesday, before the 4th round of contentious trade negotiations began, Mr. Trump once again condemned the fairness of the deal. It's possible we won't be able to make a deal, and it's possible that we will, the president said, while sitting next to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau of Canada. We'll see if we can do the kind of changes that we need. We have to protect our workers. Mr. Trump's comments again raised the prospect that the deal may yet collapse, with potentially unintended consequences. Deferred action for childhood arrivals. Todd Heisler, The New York Times. Mr. Obama created the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program in June 2012, aiming to protect from deportation undocumented immigrants who were brought to the United States as children. The so-called Dreamers who have benefited from the program now number approximately 800,000. What Mr. Trump has done. Mr. Trump repeatedly railed against the program on the campaign trail, but after taking office he has seemed torn about how to handle the issue. He ultimately ordered an end to the program in September, calling it an amnesty-first approach. Where things stand now. In announcing his move, Mr. Trump called on Congress to pass a replacement plan within 6 months before the program is to be fully phased out. Since then, he has said he is willing to revisit his decision if Congress does not come up with a fix. The top Democrats in Congress, Senator Chuck Schumer and Representative Nancy Pelosi, said in mid-September that they had come to an agreement with Mr. Trump to pass a replacement, but in early October, Mr. Trump delivered to Congress a list of hardline demands on immigration policy that may make building Democratic support for a deal more difficult.